What's up? What's up? What's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? Y'all come in real quick. Come in real quick, real quick. I really just wanted to do a quick little check-in, um, especially for my members. Make sure all my people that's on Facebook are good. So y'all come in and let me know that you're here if y'all don't mind speaking. Speak to me. Let me know y'all here. Let me know who all's on and who all is okay. Come on, I'm gonna give y'all a second. I'm gonna give y'all 5 seconds. Come in, let me know you here. Come on, y'all, speak. Speak. Say hey. Say something. All right. So, what's up, cuz? Yeah, man, we good. No lights at our house yet. Our neighborhood was really underwater, but we made it out. We're waiting on the light company to cut the electricity back on in the neighborhood. So me being a pastor, I came to the church to check on the church, make sure everything was good here, and the church lights and everything was still on. So I packed up the family and we came here. Bishop Boone, how you doing, bro? Happy birthday! Today is your birthday. Happy birthday! Yeah, Mom, for the 10th time. All right. When the water recedes, Mom, please let us know. So we want to come over there and make sure that you guys are okay. So when y'all water goes down, let me know or let Tiffany know so we can come over there. All right, guys. I really wanted to just give a quick check in, word of encouragement. Man, yeah, I know what you mean, bro. Oh, y'all cook? Okay, Mom. Oh, y'all cooking? Tiff up here cooking too. So it's finna go down. All right. Cool, cool, cool. I'm glad y'all good. I'm glad y'all good. Antoinette, I'm glad y'all good. I wanted to give a quick word of encouragement because this storm is really. I've been on and off Facebook today because I've been really kind of moving around, making sure my family was good. Erica, I'm not singing. Erica, I'm not singing. I've heard people talking about the storm, and sometimes y'all sometimes I think we can over spiritualize. Okay, all right, Sister Gray, good, good, good. I'm glad you guys are okay. Sometimes y'all we can over spiritualize some things, and when we do that, sometimes we miss the essence of the moment. Um, I don't plan to preach, but if I had to preach, I would give you a word of encouragement from Matthew chapter 14. The story shows us a few things about there are certain ingredients that we need to know when we face storms, because what this storm and many other storms in our lives prove to us is that storms are coming, and sometimes y'all, I saw people on the news who were saying, and I said it myself, that sometimes the news media has the proclivity to make a storm look worse than it's gonna be, or they have the proclivity to make us feel like it's drastic, and sometimes what happens to us is after we have seen the news forecast and they have said this is going to happen and we're expecting this, and then it does not happen, we tend to believe that every time they come on and make a declaration or make a statement that the outcome is going to be the same. But here's what we got to understand, that just like there is storms in the natural, there's storms in the spiritual, and sometimes you can glean lessons and information from both, storms in the natural, storms in the spirit, because they all speak to us. They all give us a level of dynamic and information and revelation that God can use to apply principles to our lives. And in Matthew's gospel, chapter number 14, we see that the disciples are told by Jesus to get into the boat. He tells them to get into the boat. He's getting ready to dismiss the crowd. And he tells the disciples to get in the boat. Now, when Jesus tells the disciples to get in the boat, he literally gives them instruction. The instruction is get in the boat. Now, with the instruction, he then gives a word of prophecy. He gives a word of promise. He says, I want you to get in the boat, but he says you're going to go to the other side. Which the prophecy then is that because I followed the instruction and got in the boat, that the manifestation of the promise of going to the other side is going to come. It's the manifestation is going to come. In other words, a good place to thank God right here is that even though this storm hit, there are many of us that can testify we still will survive. He said to them, go to the other side. Now, here's the caveat. He tells them to go to the other side. But what he did not tell them was there was a storm coming in the middle. And if I could turn a phrase from the moment of the instruction to the promise is a type of hallway and a type of transition. Let's use the word transition. And one thing I've discovered is hell in the hallway from the promise to the manifestation, or from the instruction to the manifestation. But there are some times that when we're following instructions from God, that we will encounter a storm. So please believe, brothers and sisters, don't get it in your mind that just because God gives you an instruction and the instruction is going to lead to a blessing, that in between that transition, there is not going to be some hell. There is not going to be some storms. There are not going to be some struggles. There are going to be some struggles in your life. There are going to be some things that each one of us has got to endure. Why? Well, because when you read the Bible, there are two types of storms. There is a storm of correction. We experienced that in the book of Jonah, when Jonah finds himself in a storm because he literally disobeys the instruction. God tells him to go to Nineveh, and he decides that he wants to go to Tarshish. So he encounters a storm in that transition. For him, it was a storm of correction. But there is another storm that I'm going to shout about this morning, and that is the storm of perfection. That is the storm where the literal damage that you experience, the literal hell that you have to go through, is literally producing for you a more perfect faith, a more perfect understanding of who God is, a more mature, perfect in the sense of mature, not sinless perfection. But what God does in a storm, he matures us. And then here's the funny thing. Not only does he mature us, he shows us that there are areas in our lives that while we are in a storm, that he's trying to develop and perfect because we are weak and we're vulnerable in certain places. There are certain things, many of us, I know, if I could just tell you a quick story. I think I got home around 11 o'clock last night. And when I got in my neighborhood, when I got on my main street, I couldn't get in my neighborhood because it was flooded. So I pulled up on this little grass so that I could get out the water because I didn't want to damage my vehicle. And I was sitting on this grass, and I sat there for about 30 minutes. Watch this. I was in a storm. I was looking at my destination, but I could not get to the place I was trying to get to. There are sometimes, brothers and sisters, you can see where you are headed, but there are sometimes that you get caught up in the transition. And that wasn't just one thing. When I finally saw the water recede, I decided I was going to go on and make it in my neighborhood. Get in my neighborhood, and all the lights were out in my neighborhood. So I pulled up in my driveway, and I saw my wife and kids were in the car, getting in the car because it was starting to kind of get hot in the house. And we got in the car, and I was in the car with them, and we stayed in the car from about 11 till about 4 o'clock this morning. And I decided to go in the house. I went in the house, and I came back out, and I said, hey, let's go in the house. The wind is blowing. It's not that hot. Let's get the cars a break. Went in the house, and I raised my window up, and I literally watched the storm. I watched the water come into my neighborhood. I literally watched my neighborhood get submerged in water, something I had never, ever seen before. I've seen storms, but I'd never seen a storm in my neighborhood to the magnitude that I saw last night. And it hit me like a ton of bricks that whenever, brothers and sisters, you're going through a storm, you can never determine the magnitude or the intensity of the storm. You got to be diligent and dedicated to the process of the storm. You can't dictate how hard the storm is going to hit. You can't dictate how much of the flood waters will consume what you have. And so what I discovered last night is I saw water come halfway up my driveway. I had never seen that before. And I began to pray, and I began to ask the Lord, I don't want water to come in my home. So can you cover us? Can you stop this rain? Can you stop this process? And immediately I heard the Spirit of the Lord said, the water is only halfway. And I'm trying to figure out, what do you mean? The water is only halfway. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, I've discovered that when it is God is trying to teach you a magnanimous principle, He's trying to stretch your perspective, stretch your faith. Sometimes He lets situations happen at a level of intensity that you have never experienced before, just to show you this one thing. And that is, if you were in the storm, here's my point number one, God allowed it. If you were in a storm, God allowed it. Jesus tells the disciples, get into the boat, go to the other side. He knew that the storm was coming. He knew that the storm was coming, and He allowed that storm to come. Why? Because He had to test the people who were with Him. And brothers and sisters, my word for you today is, if you are connected to God, it does not matter what seems like you've lost in the natural, cars, houses, all of that stuff. Praise God, I hope it's insured, but you can get that stuff back. But there are bigger lessons in our storm that God is trying to teach us that we miss because we're so busy whining, and we're so busy complaining, and we're so busy trying to get God to cut us across the field of our process. But what I have discovered, brothers and sisters, there is always a process to promotion, and you miss the promotion because you don't want to deal with the process. So I made up in my mind that, Lord, as many storms as I've been in, You've always brought me through with little or no collateral damage. And so I made up in my mind that whatever God was trying to show me, whatever He was trying to tell me, whatever He was trying to teach me, myself, that I was committed to the process. And I've been in this, I've been preaching and teaching Resurrection Church. I've been teaching and preaching about the process because what I've discovered is I pastor a hurting people. I pastor a people who have never had to deal with the understanding of a process. They were in a process, but didn't understand that it was a process. Neither did they understand what the process was for. And me, myself, as the leader, as the pastor, God allowed me to start going through processes that I did not understand. It did not feel good. But what I discovered, just like anything else growing up, you had to take the nastiest medicine and all of that. The stuff that was not good to you was always good for you. And so if you're in a storm, you've experienced this storm, God allowed the storm. But then there was something else that if I was to preach, and I'm not preaching, but if I was to preach, the second thing I would have to help you to understand is that the text in Matthew says that He sent the disciples away, told them to get into the boat to go to the other side, but he went to pray. So if Jesus knew the storm was coming and he sent the disciples into the boat to go to the other side while he went away to be alone to pray, it would suggest not only did he allow it, but he already pre-prayed me through the hell I was going to have to experience. He pre-prayed. Oh God, I wish I could talk right there. He already prayed me through it. He prayed me through it. And here is the thing that I love. The disciples were out in a storm, but they were not in a storm that Jesus did not know about. They were in a storm that he knew about, which means if he was praying for them, he was literally interceding. He was standing between them and the storm. He was standing between them and the storm. And I need to tell some of you, no matter what you're going through, God has already prayed. Jesus already prayed about that. The thing that you are worried about, the thing you tripping on, the thing that you can't see your way out of, Jesus has already prayed you through that. He already knows the outcome. And that, brothers and sisters, is the burden of the process, is that we don't know the outcome, but take solace in the fact that whatever I don't know, God knows. Whatever I don't understand, God understands. And I just celebrated my 37th birthday. Man, I am so excited about what 37 is about to bring, because the Lord spoke to me early on my birthday morning and said something that I don't understand, but I understand it when it's time for me to understand. But I woke up. I was still up around midnight, and the Lord spoke to me right when I laid down on early Saturday morning, and he said to me, new age, new page, new age, new page. And I didn't understand what that meant, but I'm looking forward to whatever God is about to do in my 37th year of living. But here's what I discovered, y'all. I discovered that if Jesus has already interceded me through whatever it is that I have to go through it, all I have to do is go through it. It's not rocket science. And the problem is we extend the process because we don't know how to give God glory, give him honor, and we don't understand that he is not working the situation out. He has already worked the situation out. It's a done deal. Here's the thing, y'all. He never promised us that everything was going to be easy, but here is what I can glean from biblical truth, and that is, there is never a thing that happens in our lives that caught God by surprise. I believe that God already knew this storm was coming before we ever got here in the first place. He knew it. He knew it. He had already prepared. He had already prepared it to happen. And so if he allowed it to happen, there are some things that we have to discover that God is trying to teach us. So he already prayed us through it. But here's the other thing. While they were in the storm, man, while they were in the storm, Jesus comes walking on the water, and they think it's a ghost. They get afraid. But watch this. Jesus says to them, chill out. Don't be afraid. It is I. Which means, brothers and sisters, here's something I never even thought about. Not only did he allow the storm, not only did he pray me through the storm, but he speaks in the storm. He speaks to me while I'm in the storm. What was he saying? He was saying, don't trip. I'm here. Now, I might not be on the boat with you, but I am in the vicinity of the hell that you're going through. Mm-hmm. He is present. What you say? What? He's a very present help in the time of trouble, which would suggest to me there are sometimes trouble got to come for me to understand that he is there. And I don't have time to worry about the variables and what I don't understand. What I have to understand is that this process is to teach me how to lean and depend on him. So, man, I don't have to worry about what's going on. He speaks to us in a storm. He speaks in a storm. He speaks in a storm. Now, I'm getting ready to get out y'all hair. But not only does he speak, but when he speaks, he gives us an understanding that he's coming to rescue me. There is nothing that goes on in my life that he is not prepared to pull me out of. So I don't have to worry about what I'm going through. I don't have to worry about how bad it looks. I don't have to worry about the strength of it, the intensity of it. What I do have to understand, there is nothing in this life that we go through that God can't pull us out of. And you got to realize that there is a blessing from process to promotion. There is a blessing between process and promotion. You can never get to the promotion without the process. And I'm a living witness. The process did not come to destroy you. It came to develop you. And some of us can testify, use this cliche all the time. What didn't kill me only makes me stronger. It makes me more resilient. It gives me more of an understanding that there are some things about my walk with God, like Job, I just don't understand. But here's what I discovered. There are some things I don't have to understand. There are some things like my granddaddy would always tell me, Kareem, we will understand it better by and by. Might not understand it today, man, but God's going to work it out. And so I pray for you, all of you who are dealing with this storm. Listen, I'm talking to you about process and all of that. I'm dealing with a process myself. I'm dealing with the same storm that everybody else is dealing with. I thank God that before I left my neighborhood, the water was receding, but it was raining again, which means there was more water coming. Which means that sometimes when you get out of one storm, wipe your face because you're getting ready to go through another one. But it's not to kill you. It's only to make you better. And so, man, I pray for each one of you that are dealing with adverse situations. I am so grateful to God for all the doors that he is opening for me, for all of the ways he's making for me, for all of the things he's doing in my life. And man, it is that, trust me, I don't sit here like I deserve it. A lot of people tell me, man, you humble and I don't brag on myself and stuff like that. Listen, if I could just tell you a secret, I recognize that even at what I think is my best, I'm still filthy rags. But what I discovered about God, and I keep hearing the Holy Spirit prompt me and tell me that where I am is not even scratching the surface to where he's going to take me. And so I can't get caught up in where I am. I can't get caught where I am because it would suggest to me there's more in me than I've even seen myself, which kind of makes me scared because if I'm just scratching the surface of where God is going to take me, what level is next? And I'm excited for me. I'm excited for Resurrection Church. I'm excited for connection. I'm excited for my family. I'm excited for everything that's connected to me and I'm connected to. Here's the last thing I want to tell you that I discovered. I've seen people here on Facebook, man, and different social media outlets who have been banding together like never before, checking on each other, reaching out to each other and all of that kind of stuff. And I got a question for you guys. How come it takes a hellacious storm to get us to check on each other? How come it takes a bad situation for us to come together and rally together and love each other? I just believe we shouldn't wait until devastation happens to have devotion to each other. But if we are kingdom citizens, we need each other. No big eyes, no little U's. We need each other. And we need to act like we need each other. We need to stop downing one another like the person who's talking about us doesn't have humanity themselves. Man, we ought to be able to check on and reach out to each other, love on each other before bad things happen. Because here's the thing, y'all. Tomorrow's not promised. 10 minutes from now is not promised. You want to say and do all you can while you can. That's my granddaddy right there. Do all you can while you can. Because you never know when you won't be able to do anymore. And so, man, I'm praying for you guys that have been affected by this storm. I haven't seen the news. I hear that more rain is on the way. But man, don't worry about it. Man, I did one of the hardest things I've ever had to do so far being a pastor. I canceled my service. And I canceled my service because I wasn't thinking about myself. I could preach the sermon I was going to preach today anytime. But man, I was concerned about my people. And so I'm praying for my members. I'm praying for members of other churches who possibly are watching this. Man, you can tell storms can turn a curve in a split hair. Because, man, I came up here yesterday afternoon. The weather wasn't bad. It wasn't just drizzling. And, man, I had every anticipation on being at church. I put a post up like, man, I'm looking forward to seeing my people and all of that. And I knew something had to be up because I wasn't prepared in my mind to preach my sermon. And normally when that happens to me, something is up. And then last night, storm hit. So I had to make an executive decision. And that was, I didn't want my people out in this weather. And man, I thank God that I've got members of my church who are on here. I wanted my members to hear a word from their pastor today. I know a lot of people, a lot of pastors, a lot of preachers are on talking to their people and stuff like that. I just didn't want this Sunday to go by that I didn't show my face to my people, and my people didn't see me, my people didn't hear me, and I didn't get a chance to speak to my people and let my people know that I was okay. And I thank God that you guys are okay. And I'm praying your strength. And man, I don't know what this week is going to bring. We're going to play Bible study by ear. But I want everybody safe, man. Don't be silly and go out when you don't have to. And I'm grateful, man, to be able just to come on to encourage somebody. I don't claim to be all of that. I know I am not the coldest preacher. I'm just grateful that I can stay in my lane and do what God has called me to do and be who God has called me to be. But listen, God is up to something great. I know that. I know that God is up to something great. And he does some of the craziest things. And I know that God is moving by his spirit and by his power. And so I want to bid you guys a good morning. I don't know what time. I don't even know what time it is. I'm going to bid you guys a good afternoon. I'm here at the church hanging out for now. So y'all pray for me, and I'm going to be praying for you. Encourage somebody today. Reach out and check on somebody. And I thank you guys, man. I love you guys. Resurrection, man, I love you guys. All my family members, man, I love you guys. I'm praying for you guys, and I pray y'all continue to pray for me. All right.